First of all, welcome in Greece, and tell us who you are, so our public will meet you, because they don't know you. What's your name?
My name is Freddy from the Alle Schall und Rauch blog. It's one of the largest alternative news blogs in the German-speaking world. And I'm here in Greece to have a look what's happening. And we like to show the support to you.
Okay. So tell us your opinion about what's happening in Greece right now. You've been here now 2 days, the second day. What you've seen so far?
Well, I think it's what I've seen, and I've spoken to the people. I really feel sorry that this is happening, and I support that you protest against this oppression that you are under, and that the government is doing this to you. And I think personally what I've seen here in Greece is kind of the test case, and I think it will happen everywhere in Europe.
What are people in Switzerland and in Germany are saying about Greece? I mean, in the news, what do you hear about the Greek situation?
Well, it's not all over the same. Some of the media, of course, are telling lies about the lazy Greeks and that it's their own fault. But some of the media is also saying the truth, that this whole bailout and everything is actually for the German and French banks. So, you know, some of them is truth and some of them are lies they're telling.
You were in Bilderberg a month ago, and you covered most of the meeting there, and you had many journalists covering for you, for your blog. So what did you learn from the meeting? What's going to happen during the summertime and in the near future concerning Greece and the rest of the European countries?
Well, as I've seen here, and also because I covered also the Gaza flotilla, which has now been blocked by the Greek government from leaving the port, I see that these powers, Washington and Brussels and also Tel Aviv, have control of the whole Western sphere. And they can even control the Greek government, telling them not to let the ships go out. And also now that your parliament has voted for this. So it looks like there's a lot of external force being pushed onto Greece. But this is something which is happening everywhere. And I think that, as I said before, what I'm seeing here is a kind of a prelude to what is going to happen in a lot of other countries in Europe and maybe even the world. This slaving to the banks, this credit, being a credit slave, this is happening everywhere.
Lots of people are having problems paying off their loans, and especially here in Greece we see now a lot of their assets being confiscated by the banks, but the banks are not selling them. What do you think should be the proper reaction of the Greek people concerning the banks? Should they stop paying their loans? Should they renegotiate their loans? What should they do?
Well, generally what is happening, and we have seen this also in America with all these loan defaults, is that there is a transfer of all the assets from the bottom to the top. This is happening all over the world. So they're grabbing everything. Now, in my opinion, it would be ideal if everybody would just stop paying the banks, or take out the money out of the banks, or have a general strike until the government changes. I think that's the only way. If we could do this in a big way, in a big mass way, I think that's the only power we have.
But shouldn't this would create a collapse of the economy of Greece?
You have to go through maybe a short period of pain to then get some improvement. I mean, we saw that also in Iceland. Iceland did not succumb to the pressure. They voted against payment of the loans. They devalued their currency, which was a painful act, but after about a year they have come out of this and they are now slowly getting better. So I think that instead of having the next 20 years of slavery and of oppression, I think you should have to do something now, have a quick, painful thing, and then get out of the problem.
So you're suggesting that we get out of the euro and go back to the drachma?
Absolutely. You have to regain the control over your financial policy. And I mean, I can only suggest, like we do it in Switzerland, we are not in the EU, we are not in the euro, we're not in NATO, we have always fought for our independence. And this is something, I'm not allowed to tell you what to do, but maybe this could be an example to get back your sovereignty. That's very important, right? Because you're being controlled from Brussels or from Washington or by the World Bank, by the IMF, and I think you should get that back and you control your own country.
Why you're saying that if we stay in the Troika and the IMF for the next 10, 15 years or 20, that is going to create much more difficult problem to solve than if we get out? Because
it's not a solution. They're just prolonging your... You see, what is happening is your loans are just increasing. Your credit or interest payment is increasing. I mean, you can't even afford to pay the interest, let alone pay back the loans. So you have to do something really radical, and I hope that a new form of politicians have the guts to make that decision. You have to see, are there any patriots around in your political system who have the guts to say, no, we don't want this anymore.
Excuse me, but a lot of people are going to say, hey, how are you a communist? Because you're saying get out of the drachma and get out of the euro, go back to the drachma and the European Union as well. And, a lot of people are going to say the European Union has gave us a lot of money to, do a lot of good things concerning our infrastructure here, our schools, our health system. So, are you a communist?
Of course not. It has nothing to do with communism. This has to do with a sensible approach which is in the interest of your country. Right? You have to think about your country and what is good for it, and not think about what other people outside want to force you to do. Right? That's important.
Politicians here in Greece are saying that countries such as the US or newspapers like the Financial Times of London or Le Monde, the French newspaper, are saying that we have to go back to the drachma because they bought credit default swaps. So if the Greek government is going to default, they're going to earn a lot of money. So what do you think about that?
I don't see how they can earn a lot of money. On the contrary, the best thing to do is to do a reset and say, we are going to, we don't accept the loans anymore. We don't care about them. Let's forget them. You see, you have to clean up the plate and say, we don't owe anybody nothing. To start from scratch. Of course they will scream and shout and they will threaten you, but you have to be strong enough to say, we don't care. What are you going to do about it? Because you have to think about your own interests, right?
Your country, Switzerland, is out of the euro, has its own currency, and it doesn't have a financial problem, right? I mean, such as a big problem like us. Yeah. This is a good example that a country...
It's also Norway.
Also Norway, yes.
Yes, and if you look at all the countries who have their own currency, they're in a good state. It's only the ones who are in the euro who are really have a problem. You see, the problem about the euro is it's a unified country across states which are not the same. That's the big problem. You see, you cannot compare the Greek economy with the German economy. It's impossible. So there is a huge strain in this whole system because they are not equal. So what they are trying to do now is they are trying to cheat by sending money to and subsidizing these countries. But actually the only way is maybe split the euro in the south and the north euro. That would be the minimum you would have to do, so that you can change, the exchange rates can be different. The only way you can get out is to devalue your currency, be competitive again, regain export quality, and then slowly come out of this. The way they want to do it, by continuously transferring money to Greece and Portugal and Ireland, won't work, because it just increases your debt endlessly.
We hear a lot of things in the German and Swiss news, for example, that the money that the German parliament gave to the Greek government are going directly to the people of Greece. Is this true?
Of course not. Everybody who knows something about the financial system knows that the money immediately turns around and goes back to Germany and France, to the banks there, or to the European Central Bank. So it never ends up here. It just does a turn and goes back. And it is a lie that all this bailout money is helping the Greek people. They never see anything of that. It is just going back to all the banks to repay loans that they are around. Right? So actually, it's not Greece who is being saved, it's the European banks and the central bank who's being saved.
So it's the bailout of our lenders.
Yeah,
exactly. And another question, how can we make a system here in Greece similar to yours in Switzerland, of the system that you have, of the democracy that you have? Whenever you want to pass a law, you asking the people to decide, not like here, which they decide without asking us.
Well, that is something that a lot of countries in the world envy Switzerland, because we have the direct democracy, we can do initiatives. That means we not only let the politicians make laws, we can also initiate laws by collecting 100,000 signatures, and then the whole country can vote on something. So this is very interesting, and I wish that all countries could do this, that we can have a real democracy and a voice of the people, and not only every 4 years do a cross for politicians and then you have nothing to say. I mean, they promise everything to get voted, and then they do exactly the opposite when they are in power. And more or less all parties do the same. I mean, it doesn't matter which party you vote for. When they're in power, they do exactly the same, because they're controlled by completely other people. They're controlled by Wall Street. They're controlled by the big global corporations. They are the actual owners of the world, and the governments are just their puppets. They just fulfill the commands.
So you're saying us that our Prime Minister is not a patriot?
Of course not. Of course not. You just have to look what he's doing. He's not serving the interest of the Greek people. He should stand up and say to Brussels, go to hell. I have to look after my people and not look after your banks and everything. And of course, I mean, for me, he's a puppet who was put into place to serve the foreign powers. And you can just look what he's doing. The proof is there.
Now he's in a very dangerous crossroad of the New World Order.
Absolutely. What we are seeing here is what you call the plan being executed by the New World Order. And but you see, the New World Order, in my opinion, is what I call the corporate dictatorship. You see what is happening, and you see this with Bilderberg. This is a group of people who want to create the world government. They are not the world government yet. They want to create the world government, which is a world where there are no more countries, there are no more borders. It's just a huge corporation with them in the board, and we are just the consumers. Buying their products, whatever they tell us through television advertising. So what they're trying to do is create this one world, which is a one world corporation. You could call it World Inc., right? And that's what they're trying to create. And if you look at all the powerful people, they're all the bosses and owners of these huge global corporations. And that's what they're trying to do. They're above countries. They even write the laws now. I mean, I've seen in Germany that Josef Ackermann writes the bank laws and gives it to Angela Merkel, and then they decide them. So actually, in Germany, Josef Ackermann is the boss, and not Angela Merkel.
Similar things happened here in Greece. The central banker here decides for the bank laws. But you said about the New World Order. Our Prime Minister, George Papandreou, said a lot of times that we need a global government. We need a New World Order. It's for our for the good of the Greek people. And we're not going to have any more wars. We're not going to have any financial problems. So they're bringing this New World Order and global government for an end to our
They
problems.
say it's something good.
Yes.
Which is, of course, bullshit. Because if you look at the history of mankind, every emperor, be it the Persian Empire or the Roman Empire or the Ottoman Empire or the British Empire, they always tried to sell this. We have to be all in this one world, and then there will be peace. Well, that is not true. Exactly the opposite happens. You have only wars. And this is exactly what we see. They are fighting wars everywhere. In Afghanistan, in Iraq, and now in Libya, and new ones will come. So what they are saying, that this is the plan, and it will be then peace for everybody and mankind, is not true. It will be only conflict. And that's why we have to oppose this big government and world government. We have to come back to local control. You have to be the boss of your own country. We have to stop this and come back to small units. Because you see what happens, the further away the people are who control you, the worse are the laws that they make, because they don't know the effect. The worst thing that can happen is if you have a world government, because then they are the furthest away from you, from the man on the street. But if you have politicians who are your neighbors, then they do the right thing, if they're close to you. And this is something we have in Switzerland. We have the politicians are very close to their constituency, and therefore they don't dare to do the wrong laws. Although there is also a tendency in this direction of yours. So we have to come back to local thinking, spend our money locally, don't send it to Wall Street, support local business, and not global banks, but local banks, local business, buy local products. That's, I think, the way we have to, where we can decide where our money is going. That's important.
The money comes back to us in this way.
Exactly. We have to create jobs here and not in China or in India or wherever. We have to see that the money stays here. And one way of doing it is to have your own currency, right? Don't listen to these people who say this is impossible and we can't do it and it'd be a catastrophe. It's not true. Why should it be? You had it before.
So you're saying in the beginning it should be painful, but then it would go.
Yeah, it's like
better.
It's like an operation, right? If you have a cancer, just as an example, you have to cut it out, and that's it. Then after a few weeks, you can get out of hospital. But if you keep on just this prolongation, it'll go on forever, and you will be slaves forever, and you will just paying and paying and paying. And this is not acceptable.
We'd like you to say again once more your blog and your name so people know it and visit it. So tell us please your blog.
Yes, the name of my blog is Alles Schall und Rauch, which means like everything is smoke and mirrors, which it is, because what they're telling us is a big show and the real things are happening behind the curtain. The people you see on stage, they are just actors. You see, Obama is an actor. He is acting as president. Angela Merkel is an actor. Sarkozy is an actor. Papandreou is an actor. He's just acting as if he has something to say. There are completely other people pulling the strings. And it's the powerful corporations and banks and the big, international institutions. They are running the show, right? What I can recommend, well, I would say, do a general strike until they get out of office. What can I say? What power do normal people have? Normal people can stop work. They can stop consuming, stop buying things. Take the money out of the banks. I mean, there is not much you can do, but these are some of the things you could do to send them a signal that they cannot continue like this, raping your country. You're being raped, right?
And